I am Brad Keelor. He is Cesar Cespedez. Coming up next on Director's Cut, you're going to learn the most California thing that he does.
Hey! Oh! Hey! Oh! Hey! Well, I'm the crazy outsider, driving me insane. Yeah, I'm a streetwise professor. Who am I to blame? Now, if you listen to the record, do you feel the same? Hell, it don't get any better.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, I sit down with a different GI member who has so many stories to tell. Some of them are personal, some are professional, all of them are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this interview today, make your way over to geoinstitute.org, and there you will find out tons of valuable information about the society that you belong to, or maybe you don't belong and you should, including that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And if you like what you see today, I feel like people will. We have a competition winner with us. Click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we'll let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Now, I did mention, Cesar, that you're a competition winner here. The winner of the 2025 Geo-Shirt competition and the Geo Challenge, coming to us all the way from the Golden State, where he is a student at Cal Poly Pomona. It is Cesar Cespedez. Cesar, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Brad, for having me. It's great to be here.
I think we're going to have a good time today. We've got 10 questions, the same way that we do every week, and 2 of them are the same. We always have to start out with one of those. The first one, describe your job in 45 seconds.
So besides being an undergrad at Cal Poly Pomona, I'm an engineering intern at the City of Torrance Public Works Department. I work in updating AutoCAD maps that involve capital improvement projects for the City of Torrance in the design phase, construction phase, and also the bidding phase. And I also participate in active meetings for quarterly utilities and also developer meetings as well.
Wow. So is this your first internship? Have you done several? I mean, and how do they compare, I guess?
This is actually my first internship. I go there while I'm in school right now. So it's not during just the summer, it's also during in-class sessions. So right now I'm averaging around 16 to 24 hours a week. They open every other Friday. So some weeks I work 24 hours, other weeks I work 20 hours. And I only go to school on Mondays and Wednesdays, so it works well for going to work on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
That's a pretty good balance there. Now, for anybody who's making their way through an undergrad civil program, what would you tell them? Why should they do an internship?
For the hands-on experience, I think a lot of students, like for me myself, I was really nervous about interviewing for internships. A lot of the internships don't really ask technical questions. So when you go to an interview, they ask you like, who are you? What are things you like to do? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Now, you don't get asked how to calculate a vertical curve for a highway, or what's the settlement for a foundation, or how much, what kind of rebar should we use in this concrete? A lot of these interviews are very laid back and very easy to go to, and just we want to make sure that you're eager, you're ambitious, and want to learn, and have the time to do so as well. I think the only problem will be time, your willingness to go and drive to the location. Sometimes for the construction sites, you might have to go to San Diego or somewhere farther, and having reliable transportation is a pretty big requirement for internships.
So I guess one thing, I think we've talked about this once on Director's Cut before, but I want to bring it up again because it is really important topic. I think one of the biggest things you learn when you go into an internship like that is not necessarily, it's like you were saying, it's not always about the technical stuff, but when you're in school, you don't have to deal with the accounting department. You don't have to like figure out how to work with other people in an office. Like those are like real valuable skills that you don't develop in the classroom. I mean, how much do you feel like the internship has helped with stuff like that?
It's been great. I think a lot of students like to go for the big companies, the big names. But there's a lot of small firms who do a lot of great work and are more in-depth and hands-on. I think a lot of people who are working in small firms or are close by, they probably have like 10 employees in the entire company on staff, and it's been great for them. They're learning a lot more, and I wish I could have made that decision to go for a smaller firm, because I feel like I would have learned more. But at the same time, I'm really happy with the decision of going working for the local government, working for the city, because I like the fact that, you know, all the employees there, they live close by. A lot of them live 5 minutes away from work, 10 minutes away from work, and seeing them work on projects that are changing and developing their own city has been great, especially since they have an interest as well in developing the city's infrastructure as well.
Absolutely. What a cool experience. And I feel like I can say 100% it's going to help you a ton when you get out there into those full-time jobs. We have to get into some of the fun questions here on Director's Cut too. I mean, they're all fun, but you know, the super fun ones will say. I put this next question in because I'm obsessed with keeping our microwave clean in our house. Like, it drives me crazy if somebody puts something in there and doesn't cover it, and then it gets everywhere, especially if it's something that's got like, you know, like salsa or tomato sauce or anything on it, and it just blows up.
Explodes.
Not a fan of that. Cesar, what object do you clean obsessively?
I think my electronics, because when I'm doing work, I like eating at the same time and drink at the same time. Sometimes I leave crumbs. Sometimes my fingers, after eating chips, I touch the screen on my computer or on my tablet, or sometimes my pencil or right on my tablet to get dirty. So I clean them a lot, especially my laptop. I think one time I used the last disinfecting wipe on the bottle, and it was really, really wet. So I wiped my keyboard on it, and now the letter Q doesn't work anymore. And when I'm typing, like, sometimes I click on the Q and it doesn't work, but then I continue typing, and then it underlines it with red on the Word doc or wherever I'm writing, saying you're missing the Q. But I got used to it already. I go back, use the spell check, and check the mistake and then fix it right there. I actually have to Google. I have a bookmark, the letter Q for Google. So I click on the bookmark, it takes me to the Google search with the Q. I copy and paste the Q, insert it into my Word document, or wherever I'm typing, and that's how it's fixed. I could get a new computer, but my laptop works. It works. It's the only problem is the letter Q button is not working. Because during the pandemic, I used to clean during the pandemic because I didn't want to get COVID. Yeah. I cleaned a lot, and then eventually my keyboard, one of my key buttons stopped working, and then. But I still use it. I work with it. I'm working with it.
I like that attitude, though. And, you know, I'll tell you, my obsession, I have one right here. That's how much I love it, is the little spray can, right? So you can clean out the keyboard. I'm not as intense about the screen, I think. My son is all over that. And so when you said that, my son's only a couple of years younger than you. So I'm like, it's got to be like a generational thing, right? But spraying out the stuff from the keyboard, so important. Oh, so I like that. That's a good answer. I like that. The third question is always the researcher practice question, and we have got you at a really great time for this question because you're a senior, graduation is coming up, you're doing a capstone project, and it's on pavements. Cesar, can you tell everybody about that?
So our project is generally about creating general sustainable ground improvement on a project site in San Diego. We got the project details from a company called Geo-Advantic. We're also working with Keller, one of the sponsors for the conference coming up. So one of the Keller designers is working with us for our ground improvement design. We're also working with one of the professors who just was brought on board last year, and she joined our team this semester, and she wants to work on pavement design. So some of the students who were on the geotech team, on the construction team, were switched over to pavement design. And one of those students was me. And now we're working on creating an access road and a parking lot. So we're developing two designs for flexible pavement design and also rigid pavement design. And for those who don't know, flexible pavement is for asphalt and rigid pavement is for concrete.
So I want to ask a question specifically about you guys out there in Southern California, because pavement design is one of those things that is so radically different depending on, your weather conditions and the stress that's going to get on it because of traffic and stuff. I mean, so what have you learned about that? Because I always joke that the weather in San Diego, it's like Mars, right? It's another planet. It's the same all the time. Meanwhile, out here, like in the DC area, it's 34 degrees today. It's going to be really cold tonight. In the summer, it's 100 every day. And we have all kinds of traffic and we have hurricanes in the fall and stuff like that. So what have you learned about the geographic differences in pavements?
It's strange though, because you mentioned the temperature. In class, in our engineering class, we learned about freeze and thaw. A lot of the students ask, Professor, why are we learning about freeze and thaw when in California, we don't really go through freeze and thaw? We're not the East Coast where it freezes and it thaws, it freezes and it thaws. So we haven't really discussed any weather conditions for the pavement design we're doing. We're trying to gather all the parameters we need for our pavement design. I'm working on flexible pavement with Anas, my teammate, and then we have Celine and Eduardo working on the rigid pavement design. For now, we're learning about the parameters, and then we're also using Pave Express, which is a web-based browser that allows us to design this pavement. It's using the ASCE 9398, and then we have another two members who are working on PCase, another software used by the Air Force to design the pavement design.
Well, that is great. Like I said, we hit you right at the right time because we got to throw that question in there and hear a little bit about what you're working on before you finish up.
And also we're introducing something new, which is the LCA. I never heard of it before. It was the life cycle assessment. So we're trying to figure out the environmental impact. A lot of professors have been trying to push sustainability. I think it was started like 2 years ago, because when I started as a freshman and a sophomore, a lot of sustainability wasn't really discussed in classes. It was discussed in the news and amongst ourselves, but seeing in sustainability incorporated into our classes as well has been great. I'm eager to learn about what is the life cycle assessment.
That is awesome. A great addition to that one. The question that we teased at the beginning here of the interview was about the most California thing that you do. And I don't know. I don't know if people are going to think that's a funny question or not, but like your whole life, you carry behaviors with you, whether you realize it or not. My family moved away from Michigan when I was 13 years old. There's still a lot of stuff I do that people say, you must be from the Midwest. You must be from Michigan, because they just recognize it right away. Cesar, what is the most California thing that you do?
I like to cruise on the beach in a bike. Right now, before a few years ago, I used to just ride a bike at the beach, but now it's just e-bikes. You take an e-bike, go on the sidewalk and just ride them and just go back and forth. You can stay there for an hour, 2 hours, and it's really nice. The weather, the scenery, the time flies also really fast too.
We were talking about that before we recorded. That's not really something that people can do on the East Coast. I guess there are some places where you could, where they have the big long boardwalks, but a lot of our beaches are kind of in the middle of nowhere compared to especially Southern California, where you guys have them like right in the urban area. What are some of your favorite beach spots so that when people are out there next time, they can go and check them out?
Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Dockweiler, Santa Monica. Usually I go to Santa Monica the most. I don't swim. I'm not much of a swimmer. I also don't know how to swim either. I do get my feet wet, but for cruising, those are great beaches to go to. We have a variety of beaches, which is great. I can choose one beach this weekend, another beach another weekend, and they're all around the same distance as well.
And just getting your feet wet is enough anyway, because I have to tell you, as an East Coaster now, your water is cold. Like sometimes out here it can feel a little too warm, but I can't think of a time when I've been to California and I thought, wow, this is really comfortable weather. Even in the middle of August, right? It still feels really chilly compared to what we have in the Atlantic. So So we did mention a few minutes ago you are a senior, you are graduating soon, you are going to be out in the
Yes.
big bad world looking for that first job, looking to what you're going to do in your career. What do you look forward to the most about a career in civil engineering?
I look to developing my local surroundings. I really liked the city, working for the local government and working on small projects that improve the lives of the citizens. I think a lot of residents get involved in local works. We have a lot of residents calling up our works departments about repairs, potholes, about traffic lights, about anything they feel like they want to improve the city, the trees. I think a lot of cities are also adding a lot of trees, and it's really great. We're seeing that a lot too.
And it sounds funny at first, right? To think that people would take the time to call about some of these things, whether it's a road sign, whether it's, a piece of pavement over a culvert that collapsed or whatever.
Hmm.
But the reality is, if they didn't take the time to do that, like it would make the public works department's job a lot harder. Like, so what's the most interesting call that you can think of since you've been around within the city public works department?
I think a lot of citizens like want to install speed bumps on residential roads because a lot of youngsters like speeding in their cars, speeding on their e-bikes. So a lot of residents wants to install speed humps, but the city says that's not feasible. It's too much maintenance, and also
Yeah.
it's not ideal for residential roads as well.
So this is the second time e-bikes have come up, and you mentioned the speed there. I see these things on the trails and stuff. I'll get out, I'll hike, I'll walk. I don't really run so much anymore. What's the top speed that these things can go?
I'm not sure myself. I know on campus we have lots of scooters, e-scooters, and it's very often to see a lot of people crash into other scooters, which is strange.
Wow.
And then people just walk it off and like, oh, are you okay? We're fine, and just move on. It's very common to see a lot of scooters bump into each other because some students, I don't know how it's possible. You just like you're driving on the scooter and then you don't see your surroundings because then you're just looking straight and then someone just comes in and then I don't know how it happens, but it happens a lot.
I got to be honest,
on
I never
campus.
thought of that. The bigger problem we have with scooters around where we live is people get to the rental, the ones you can rent, they have the radius, right? And then they turn off. People get to the edge of that and then they just ditch it, and it's sitting there on the side of the road in a location it shouldn't be in, which is, kind of a pain, and it's hazardous, and it's also not back where someone else can rent it out and use it. So, but I never thought about the accidents. That is really interesting.
Yeah, it's common on our campus. I've seen, I think, 2 this month already, but they don't go at that fast of a speed, so it's not too serious. And people are very courteous and ask the other person, are they fine? And they say yes, and they just walk it off, and then they move on. They go back
I'm
on their scooters.
I'm still kind of fascinated by that because I'm like you. I don't really understand how that could possibly happen, but okay. We always ask this question in every single interview too, and I usually call it a nostalgia question where somebody has to think way back, but you're still an undergrad, so this is going to be fresh in your mind, Cesar. This is easy. How did you first get involved in ASCE and GI?
I think it started when I was in high school in senior year. Well, the summer before senior year, I decided to sign up for a conference symposium at UCLA Engineering School. I went there and we various fields: mechanical, electrical, computer, bioengineering. Also, the first time I was introduced to bioengineering. I think while in high school, I learned about the big 3, which is electrical, mechanical, and civil. I was interested in biology, and I was sat into a seminar by Dr. Daniel Kamei. I think that's his name. He focused on bioengineering, so it really got me interested in applying for bioengineering. Unfortunately, Cal Poly Pomona didn't have a bioengineering department, so I ended up applying for civil engineering. I didn't get into UCLA, but I did get into Cal Poly Pomona and got into civil engineering program there. And then I got involved with ASCE ASCE and also GI through the GeoWall team. They were looking for recruitment members, and I decided I had time, so I decided to join, and that's how I got involved with GeoWall in the Geo-Institute and also ASCE.
So what's been the most exciting part? I mean, I think this is the way a lot of students get involved, right? Whether it's one of the competitions, whether it's GeoWall, whether it's concrete canoe or steel bridge or any of that stuff. What's been the most exciting part of being involved in GeoWall for you?
I think the students, I think the interest of getting involved with students who are interested in devoting their time to something and taking out time out of their schedule, investing and collaborating, it's great to meet people and collaborate and compete with them.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the other competition that you were victorious in a little bit later on in the interview. So we'll hit the student competitions again. But our pitch to all the viewers today, it's super easy to get involved in your grad student organization, your ASCE chapter, whatever on campus. Just head to the ASCE website, asce.org, look for that students tab. There's a ton of different ways to get involved. It's free to join. I mean, I don't feel like I need to do much more of a sales pitch other than that. It's free. And you've got all these amazing resources. There, go ahead, Cesar.
It's also a guaranteed yes. They're not going to say no to you. It's just, they're going to let you in. It's a yes, 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 100% yes. So just join, have the time, have the dedication, be there. It's nerve-wracking the first few times you want to go there. The first meeting, you're like, okay, I'm going to walk in there. I don't know anybody there. But it happens everywhere. You just go for one meeting, go to the second meeting, go to the third meeting, go to the fourth meeting. And then people are going to start recognizing you, and they're going to come up to you and like, oh, hey, I've seen you before already. Oh, okay. And the officers are also very approachable as well. They come to you. They're like, I think the officers play a big role, and then people feel more welcomed into the group. You know, they see you, they invite you, like, how are you doing? And that's been great.
That is perfect. What a great sales pitch for people getting involved with their local student organization. Next question. You know, I tell people I never put fill in the blank questions into Director's Cut until like 3 months ago, and they're great. I don't know why I didn't do this before. So, Cesar, you get one of these. Fill in the blank. People underestimate how good I am at what?
Keeping it short. I'm not much of a talker. I don't like speaking too much. I don't like talking too much. I like going straight to the point. I am collaborative. I do contribute. I'm also a slow starter. So at the beginning, I might not talk too much, but once things get going, I let myself more loose. So I feel more comfortable, and it makes it easier for me to speak more as well.
Have you been this way?
So I like. Yes, I get it from my dad. My dad's a yes or no person, but he nods a lot too. He's like yes, no. My mom knows that she can't have very long conversations with them.
But what's amazing, right? Because I bet now at this point in your life, do you notice differences in your dad's nods? Like, because it's saying more than yes or no, right? Like. Well, like, so how do you pick that up? If it's a big nod, if it's a little nod, what's something that he does to tell you a little more than just that nod?
I'm not sure. I think it's just the knowing him for all these years. I think even the text messages as well. He doesn't like messages. If you want to get to him, just call him. And even if you call him, it's just short call. Like, you could have done this with text messages as well, but he doesn't like it as well. He'll say yes or no on the phone. He'll keep it short. So I think just learning from him and just got it from him, keeping it short, straight to the point, yes or no, nodding, saying yes.
That is amazing. But this interview has gone well. You've done a great job. You're giving the people everything they need to know about Cesar so they can come up to you in Louisville and say hi and get to know you even better. So we've got 3 questions left here, and I had to ask this one, I think. Pomona is a really interesting place. It's suburbs now, right? You drive through on the 10 or whatever, and it looks like pretty much anything else as you're driving along that corridor. But it wasn't always that way. So I had to ask, what are the spots that people have to visit on the Cal Poly Pomona campus?
I think my number one recommendation is visiting the Arabian horse, the horse stables. On the first Sunday of every month, they have the horse show where we have students perform on riding the horseback on the horses. We have a lot of people come in. It's really cheap. I think the entry is like $5 per person. For students, it's free. Well, Kappa Pomona students are free, so everybody else is $5. They put on a show. It's the Sunday first every month, and it's great. It's great to watch all the horses, watch all the students, just watch the environment, the feel. And I'm also a person who feeds off energy. I like watching sports games, like watching all these events, and when people feel really good, I feel really good. It's really great to go to these events and share with people.
That's awesome. What else you got? Anything, any place that people need to eat when they're on campus? We always talk about food on Director's Cut. What's the best place to eat on the Pomona campus?
We have the Kellogg restaurant. They serve our homegrown wine, produced wine. So you can eat and drink there. Most of the food produce that gets served and cooked at the restaurant is grown locally on campus through the agricultural students. So it's also great to go eat there once in a while.
That is amazing. And so what about, like, what would you say is the place on campus where you just feel the most comfortable? If you had to pick one.
I think the library. We have a lot of the floors are collaborative floors. So when we first got there, I thought the library we had to be quiet. And sixth floor are quiet floors, but the first, second, and third floor are very collaborative. We also eat there. We talk a lot there. We have a lot of whiteboards. A lot of students are conversing. We also have a lot of dog therapy. Every week we have dog therapy. We have dogs on the second floor to interact with them, and it's a great environment to be in because it's not a quiet place. It's more a collaborative place, and it's great to be there as a student.
That is amazing. I am fascinated. We have show notes for this. We always put stuff down in the comments below where people are watching this. I'm going to look up the horse stuff. I don't know what else to call it. The shows, I guess. And we'll put a link below this so people can check it out. And maybe
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Oh, I like that a lot. So the two final questions here. This is one that I'm always intrigued by. When you're on a college campus, you're around people who are doing a gazillion different things. You might have a friend who's an accounting major, somebody who's a history major, geology, whatever. It's all these different fields, everybody coming together. That's one of the things that makes it so great, right? Civil engineering is it's not hard to understand, I guess, but it is one of the more difficult majors on a lot of campuses, and it can be intimidating to people. How do you explain civil engineering or geotech to your friends in other majors?
I say we build and design. We build and design water infrastructure. We build and design transportation facilities. We build and design geotechnical structures. We build and design structural elements. We build and design project sites. We build and design. We build and design, and we build and design. I think that's the main focus that I try to get across other people who are not civil engineers, that we build and design infrastructure for society to progress. I think I'm also interested in one of the events for the ASCE where they introduced the big future cities, how they imagine how the cities would look like into the future. And it's weird, strange, because my parents talk about how they thought that this would be the era of flying cars, but it's not. But right now at my workplace, where they're upgrading the traffic system to facilitate driverless cars, the automated cars, the self-drive cars, and it's really interesting to see that, because I know in Arizona they have a lot of self-driving cars over there on the freeways, and now we're trying to incorporate that too here, and also in Los Angeles area too. So it's great.
I think it is really hard if you talk to somebody who thinks about what the world was predicted to be like when they were a kid. You don't realize a lot of the gradual changes that happen around you. Like, I think if you picked somebody up even from 1980 and put them in today, the fact that we're recording this 2,500 miles apart, and it's technology that literally everyone has on their computer and even on their phone. Like, I think people would think that was kind of crazy, right? But we get obsessed with things like flying cars, and then it seems disappointing. But that's a really good answer. I like that a lot. And of course, we will put a link down in the show notes to Future World Vision as well, where you can download it and look at some of the scenarios that Cesar was talking about. There's floating city, there's mega city. I'm trying to think. There's several, and you can check them all out and mess around with them in the simulators. It's really cool. So thank you for bringing that up. You're a good salesperson, Cesar. I got to give you that, man. So the final question, we went through the whole interview and we only mentioned it in passing. You are the winner of the 2025 Geo-Shirt competition. The way this works for our viewers out there is it's one of our 5 student competitions that's tied to Geo-Congress. Anybody can submit a t-shirt design, and if you are selected as having the best design, every student in the finals of all the competitions at Geo-Congress gets your shirt and gets to wear your shirt with your design on it. And then if there are any extras, we sell those actually, and all the proceeds go back into student programs. So it really works pretty well on a lot of levels. Cesar, as we're saying this, when I edit, I'm gonna put up the design so people can see it in the video. Talk about your inspiration for your winning shirt design this year.
So I think the inspiration came from a news segment I watched with my parents. I think last year we had like historic rainfall last year in early 2024, around February and March. And there was a news segment where there was a landslide, where the landslide caused the water main to break and created the landslide to fall down. And I think that's where I got the idea for the geosynthetic reinforced slope. I also thought of adding vegetation to strengthen the slope to lessen erosion. I also included the French drain to make sure for water management, and also the stone column, because right now we're working on, for my senior capstone project, working on sustainable ground improvement, and one of the ground improvements is stone columns, which I helped design in my senior capstone project. So I want to include all those elements into the shirt design.
That's amazing. So it really is an extension of you and your personality. That is super cool. Well, congratulations. So everybody who's going to be in Louisville, make sure you go find Cesar over by the student competition area on Monday of the conference, where he'll be handing out the shirts to all the competitors. And then, maybe you'll see him throughout the week too at sessions and stuff. Make sure you say hi and congratulations, and super cool. Congratulations from all of us on winning the competition. And I hope you have a good time in Louisville.
Thank you, Brad. And also, I want to thank you, because a lot of people, when I introduce myself, I tell them my name is Cesar, and you're calling me by my actual name that my parents gave me, Cesar. And it's strange because a lot of people, I assume when they see my name, they say Cesar. I'm like, I just get used to it. Getting called Cesar. I also introduce myself as Cesar. But a lot of people, my family, calls me Cesar, just like you did, and it's strange to have a person who's never met me call me by my actual name instead of the name I feel like expected people to call me Cesar. So I appreciate.
So make sure.
I appreciate it a lot.
Make sure that your mom and dad watch this thing, and we'll see what kind of nod your dad gives when he watches it, right?
Because it felt weird at the beginning of the interview where it said Cesar. I was like, yeah, that's my name. That's how you actually say it. And it's weird because I don't think no one told you about my name. It was like it was nice, and it was.
You got to know, you got to do the preparation. So you made it through all the questions. You did a great job. We got through everything. And for everybody watching out there, if you liked what you saw, and I think you did because you're here at the end, You want to click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we'll let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. One more time, make sure you come and say hi to Cesar in Louisville next week when you're at Geotechnical Frontiers. This is, of course, the final director's cut before we go on site to Geotechnical Frontiers. I've got the Louisville skyline in the background for me. I'll be recording a couple episodes of Director's Cut while we're on site in Louisville. Cesar, thank you for doing this. I hope it was fun.
It was. Thank you, Brad.
And we will see everybody next week with a brand new episode of Director's Cut.